Hello everyone, my name is Aaron and this is the Game Day Hour. Welcome back to another NFL episode, and week 3 is underway soon. It's time to take a look back to last week and see how we did in our fantasy game and how we did in our predictions, and then it's time to predict all the NFL games this week, plus the fantasy matchup I have ahead of me. So I hope you guys are excited, as I am. Let's get started. So before we take a look at the matchups this week, let's take a look back to last week to see how I did. I went 12-4. That is very impressive for me. I honestly did not know if I was going to do that great, but the only 4 games I got wrong, and as I could see right here, was the Chargers, the Packers, the Lions, and the Browns. And, you know, the Browns one is really difficult for me to process because of the injury to Nick Chubb. Detroit, they played in a very close game, same with the Packers and the Chargers. I mean, they were all close games, so I think I did pretty well this week, but I want to do better. So let's get started with the week 3 predictions. The Giants and the 49ers go at it on Thursday night. To me, this is really lopsided. I know the Giants just had that incredible comeback against Arizona, but it is Arizona, and San Francisco might be the best team in the NFL. So I'm going to actually take the 49ers to win this match big. I don't even think it's going to be close. I mean, the Cowboys won 40-0. I believe the Niners are going to be in that same ballpark. The Colts and the Ravens. I saw the Colts have a little bit of life with Anthony Richardson. I honestly didn't expect the Colts to have this type of life early in the year. But at the same time, the Ravens look like the better team in the NFC North altogether. So I'm going to actually have to go with the Ravens on this one. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a shocker to many of you. I think that the Ravens are a clearly better team, but the shocker comes in the fact that this is going to be a close game. I think the Colts just have the passion to play close with every team they have in front of them. But the Ravens, obviously. The Titans and the Browns. So I'm going to just go ahead and say that I'm very saddened by the Nick Chubb news. He was on my fantasy team, and he's just a very great player in general. You don't want that injury. The type of injury he got, man, we've suffered some pretty bad injuries with Rodgers first and now Chubb. It's just that those are some rough injuries to come back from. But we pray and we hope that he gets better. As for the Titans, I mean, the Titans played in a close game with the Chargers, who I thought was going to win, so good job, Tennessee. However, I think Cleveland has this little passion that's just, it's very tiny, but it's definitely there. I'm going to go with the Browns to win. I mean, I pick the Browns almost every single time, so yeah, we're going to go with Cleveland to win this matchup, but it's going to be extremely close. The Broncos and the Dolphins, this one's not even close. I mean, again, I thought the Broncos had life when they were beating the Commanders so badly. And then they go and mess it up. They almost put it in the overtime with that Hail Mary, but the 2-point conversion didn't work, and so Washington ended up winning. Man, Denver just looks very disappointing, and Miami on the opposite. Oh my God, they are one of the best teams in the league. Miami looks beautiful. I'm taking the Dolphins, and I don't even think it's going to be close. This is going to be an offensive showcase that the Dolphins are about to do. So we're going with Miami. The Patriots and the Jets. If you were to ask me this when Aaron Rodgers was out there, I would think that there's no shot that the Jets lose this game. But man, the Jets, they don't really have an offensive identity, and Dallas exposed them on defense just a little bit. Not many touchdowns, but a lot of scoring drives. And the Patriots, they've hanged in there with some very tough competition. I mean, the Eagles first and then the Dolphins now. I mean, it's tough competition, but they have not gotten blown out in any of them. And I don't think the Jets are up to that competition right now. So I'm going to take the Patriots to win this one. It's going to be close in around halftime, but I think that Bill Belichick just has a strategy against the Jets and against someone like Zach Wilson. He's going to expose many of the flaws that Wilson has. Watch. Buffalo and Washington. Washington has been very impressive. 2-0 with Sam Howell as their quarterback. everything looks great for Washington. They look great. I mean, they haven't played that tough a competition, but the Denver Broncos comeback, that was extremely impressive. But they are playing Buffalo, and I think Buffalo is a far better team. I'm going to go with the Bills to win this one. I think it's just going to be the fact that the offense for Buffalo is going to be tough. It's going to be very tough for Washington to handle, but it's not going to be a blowout because Washington shows that they can play nitty-gritty with all these teams. So expect a close one, even though in theory Buffalo should destroy Washington. It's probably not going to happen though. The Falcons and the Lions. The Falcons are 2-0 with Desmond Ridder. It's very impressive how good they've been playing. But I do think this is going to be the toughest team they played so far. I mean, even though Detroit lost to Seattle, Seattle is a team I predicted to make the playoffs, and they played really close with them. Detroit, I believe, will win this game in a close matchup, but take a good, hard look at this Atlanta offense. I think it's going to be very impressive. Again, you know how I am with their defense. Even though their defense has been playing well, I'm not crossing my fingers just yet. But I do think that the Lions will win this game. It's going to be extremely close, though, because I think that this youth from Atlanta is very impressive. Bijan Robinson's been playing amazing, and Desmond Ridder has been controlling the offense pretty well. So we'll see what they're able to do. I still think Detroit has this. The Saints and the Packers. The Saints... I wasn't impressed with their win against Carolina, but it is a rivalry, so I can understand. But those two teams are so different than what they used to be. So to me, that didn't feel like much of a rivalry, but rather a growing pains episode between both New Orleans and Carolina. And then Green Bay, I mean, they looked great in the beginning, but they didn't finish off great. Right now, I am still like a little bit hypercritical about Jordan Love. I still think that he is on the up and coming, and he's actually looking much better each week, but I think that I would go with experience with Carr, and I would pick the Saints to win this matchup. I do think that it will be close for the first 3 quarters, but I think something about New Orleans will just come alive in the 4th quarter and just pull it away out of the reach of Love and the Packers offense to get back from. So I'm gonna go with New Orleans. The Texans and the Jaguars. I mean, the Texans don't look like they have much identity. Anthony Richardson proved to be the better quarterback over CJ Stroud, so it shows that the Colts are actually closer to getting up and higher than Houston is. And Jacksonville, I mean, the Jags lost to Kansas City, but they didn't lose in such a poor fashion. Their offense did not play great, though. I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this one. I think most people would go with the Jaguars. The Texans just, they look complicated. It's growing pains for sure, but I think that the Texans just don't have that best of an identity just yet. I would rather go with the Jags on this one. The Chargers and the Vikings, 2 teams that look utterly disappointing, but I'm more disappointed with Minnesota. The turnovers are killing them. That Eagles game, they actually should have won that game, but they just kept giving the ball over and over, no ball security. And that play at the goal line, it didn't look great. But the Chargers at the same time, they are having tough time finishing games. I would rather go with the Chargers on this one because they at least protect the ball better than Minnesota does. And Minnesota, ball security. There shouldn't be that many fumbles in 8 quarters of football. I'm going with the LA Chargers on this one. The Panthers and the Seahawks. I mean, guys, the Panthers and the Texans at this point are on the same wavelength. They don't have that great of an offensive identity. Their defense looks okay, I guess, but still not good enough. As for Seattle, I mean, Seattle finally looked like they had life against Detroit, and Geno Smith played very well. I'm going to go with the Seahawks to win. I mean, Carolina just looks like they're in a very tough spot. Bryce Young is producing at a very low rate than I expected. I thought he was going to be the better quarterback in the draft, but so far it's Anthony Richardson, and it's not even close. I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one. The Bears and the Chiefs. Guys, there's really no competition here. And if there is, I'm not saying it. I'm going with the Chiefs on this one. They got Travis Kelce back. They got Chris Jones back, and that's a huge deal. To have Chris Jones on that team is amazing. And the Bears, they look flat-footed. I'm not sure what it is. They don't look like they're supposed to look like. I mean, DJ Moore, I'm not sure where he is. I mean, I would expect to see a little more from him than what we're getting. And Justin Fields, I mean, the man's not playing very great. That team is showing just weakness after weakness. That's why I picked the Bucs to win last week. I would be hard-pressed not to go with the Chiefs here. The Cowboys and the Cardinals, it's as simple as this. These two teams are polar opposites, like the last matchup. The Cardinals look dysfunctional. They do not look like a working team. They were up 28-0 and blew it. How do you blow that lead? I mean, we get up in arms about the Falcons blowing the lead to the Patriots. That was awful. And the Giants aren't even that great. So I couldn't believe that the Giants came back. And if you think the Cowboys are going to make those same mistakes and have to push their way out, I do not believe so. I believe that the Cowboys are going to have a field day with Joshua Dobbs. I mean, I'm not disrespecting him, of course. I think he is doing a great job with what he has. He doesn't have a lot. That offense is not that great, and neither is the defense. I don't see either stopping Dallas. And Dallas, by the way, has a negative 12 bet on them as far as like they're going to win by 12 points. That's concerning as a Cowboys fan, but you can understand why. Sunday Night Football between the Steelers and the Raiders. Now, the Raiders showed a lot of life in the first game and barely beating Denver. It wasn't a lot of life, but it was some. And Pittsburgh, I mean, wow, what a great win against Cleveland. I mean, Pittsburgh played great. They did a great job with what they had. They were the inferior team, and they won. So I'm happy for them. But if I had to go in this matchup, the home field advantage points towards the Raiders. So I'm actually going to go with the Raiders here. I think that the Steelers are going to struggle heavily. I think it's going to be a close game, but the younger team versus a winning quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, it's really hard for me not to choose the Raiders. The Eagles and the Buccaneers. I'm impressed with Tampa Bay. I honestly am. And Philadelphia, I'm impressed with them, but to an extent. I think that they are having some growing pains with this new offensive mindset. And, I mean, the defense is doing okay, I guess. They had a lot of turnovers in that last game, but a lot of it was because the Vikings were not protecting the ball well. And the Eagles were pounding on what they needed to do. I mean, the Eagles had their objective set, and the Vikings were just playing straight lazy. So that's what good teams are going to do. They're going to take advantage of it, and that's what Philly did. I'm still going to go with the Eagles in this one because the problem I have with the Buccaneers is Baker Mayfield is playing great. That offense is playing great. But this is going to be the best defense they've faced so far. So I think that they're going to have some struggles against Philadelphia. It's going to be extremely close, but the Eagles are going to win. And then lastly, we have the Rams and the Bengals. It's as simple as this. The Bengals look out of stride, and Joe Burrow does not look very, very good at all. I mean, as far as his health goes, he looks bad out there, and nothing's clicking for Cincinnati right now. So I'm going to go with the Rams to win this one. I mean, I know they lost to San Francisco, but they played great against San Francisco. The Rams look like the better team, and it's going to be hard for them to lose this game, especially if Joe Burrow doesn't play, which I think is going to happen. I don't think he's going to play. So, Rams. Now it's time to take a look at fantasy. This is going to be such a weird lineup, but again, let's get to last week before we get to this week. I absolutely ruled. I won 128-89, and I mean, impressive performances by Herbert, Devonta Smith, and CeeDee Lamb. I left 41 points on the bench though with Mike Evans. That hurts, but at the moment I'm in 4th place, and you have to be in the top 6 in order to make the playoffs. So 4th place, that's a nice place to be early in the year. But this week is going to be my toughest week, even though I lost the first week, because this is the first time where I'm not projected to win, but I'm also not projected to lose. It's a tie right now. But the lineup I have going into this, actually, never mind. I just looked over and, wow, never mind. I actually am projected to win now. Oh, the Niners defense went up. Okay, that's cool. Speaking of which, here's my lineup. I have Dak Prescott starting, making his first debut. I mean, the Cardinals, not a great defense, so I expect Dak Prescott to have a field day. Jerome Ford, because Nick Chubb is out for the year, I had to drop him and get Jerome Ford, and he's projected 16, 17, and 19 throughout the rest of the season. Obviously, it probably will go down with Kareem Hunt being back there, but right now he's projected 16, so I'm going to start him. CeeDee Lamb at 15, I'm going to start him. Travis Etienne at 11. He didn't play great last week, but they're playing Houston, so. Devonta Smith at 10. He played amazing. I'm starting Breece Hall for the first time, so he is going to be up there. He only has projected 9 points. Justin Tucker is at 10, and San Francisco's defense is at 26. As far as my opponent goes, he is starting Kirk Cousins with 33 projected fantasy points. Stephon Diggs at 15. I gotta respect Diggs. He did a big thing for me in fantasy 3 years ago, so I respect him as a player. Devontae Adams at 11, Deebo Samuel at 9, James Cook at 9, and Dalvin Cook at 7. So both the Jets running backs are in this one. Brandon Aubrey, the kicker for the Cowboys, who's been looking great. And lastly, the Dallas Cowboys defense. That's the one that scares me, because in the first week they had 76 points. That is terrifying. And what did they put up last week? Let's take a look. 31. So they have 107 fan points in just 2 games and are ranked number 1 among all defenses easily. So that's a little concerning, but I also have San Francisco, and San Francisco is ranked 50th, only 42 points, but a big first week. Cowboys have the better defense for sure, and I'm projected to win this one 125 to 120. So that's the fantasy matchup I have, and I'm just crossing my fingers. This is really, really close, and he has a great team. My opponent has a really, really good lineup. So we'll see how it goes, but gotta have some high hopes, and I hope Jerome Ford is a long-time option for me. And soon Breece Hall is going to start projecting bigger points, and I can't wait to put those two together. If Jerome Ford is the future for the Browns this year, we're going to have some fun. And that'll do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. And if you do, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Go follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm trying to post more TikToks. I don't know why I'm not, but I need to get a TikTok out soon. And yeah, that'll be it for today's episodes. Of course, the next one will be college football when week 5 starts to roll around. I still can't wait for week 4. I mean, that Notre Dame game is going to be so incredible to watch. And I don't know necessarily when the NBA season is going to start, but I'm going to do a little bit of fantasy basketball. I'm only really going to tell you about the team I draft, and that's about it. But other than that, yeah, I am pretty excited for the NBA season to get back on, and the NFL and college football. That'll be a dream come true. So yeah, that'll do it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care, and goodbye.